Hey, what's up guys? In this video, we'll be going over 3 techniques that will instantly level up your product videos and how to execute them. Over the past year, I've grown my Instagram to 100,000 followers using these 3 techniques in majority of my videos. And I've had countless questions asking how I achieved some of them. And so in this video, I'm going to be sharing my top 3 techniques with you. The last one is my all-time favorite that I try to use in majority of my videos. And I've received a lot of questions as to how I do it. So stick around till the end as you're going to want to know this one. Diving into it. Number 1, adding movement to your product videos. The biggest challenge with product videos is making the video exciting. We don't have models or big exciting locations to create that powerful video and capture the viewer's attention. So we need to think of other ways to create that excitement. So how do we do that? Well, one is by adding movement. One of my favorite ways to add movement is in post-production in Premiere Pro by creating digital zoom-ins and rotations. If you have a static shot, your product can look something like this, which is not really much, but a simple zoom in can take it from a boring static shot to something a little more exciting. So how do we do this? Well, simply go into your editing software. Now, I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro, but you can apply this concept to any software that you use. Okay, so I've got my clip in Premiere Pro, right? You can see it here. It's a really cool shot. Got some nice movement with the smoke, plus a little light reveal. But it's a static shot. Nothing's moving. Yes, we're creating movement with the reveal shot, which is what I talk about also in my product course. But we need to add a bit more movement to this. So how do we do that? Well, it's pretty simple, right? What we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to do a simple digital zoom in. So what it's going to look like, it's going to look like this. We're going to come up to our effects control and we're going to click the little toggle animation here, which is a keyframe. We're going to click that. We're going to bring that to the start of our clip, right? So this represents the start of our clip. Then we're going to scroll all the way to basically the end and we're going to zoom in just like that. Now, what this is going to do, we're going to drag this all the way to the end. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a nice zoom in. As you can see here, if you look at the scale here as I do it, it's going from 100 all the way, really nice and slowly. If you want this faster, all you would do is you would take this keyframe over here, make sure you highlight it on it, and you're going to just zoom it in a lot more. Then move it to the end, and what's going to happen is it's going to zoom in quicker. So it really depends on you. I like a nice slow movement. So what I would do is, let's just delete this and start again. I would come to the end and literally just zoom it in a tad. Move it to the end. Why I move it to the end, just to let you know, is if it goes here, while it's zooming in, it's just going to stop really abruptly. So I like to move it all the way to the end so it's continuously zooming in. Okay, super simple. We can do the exact same for rotation. If you have a look here, if we go to rotation, we can click the little keyframe, drag our start all the way to the end and give it a little rotate just like that. And now you see it rotating. Obviously, if you have a look, the black frame here, because we're going out of frame, so we'd need to start the clip a bit more zoomed in. Then we've got a cool rotation. Okay, lots you can do with this. Another thing you can do is, because I'm zooming in, if you want to change that to a digital zoom out, all you do is you take these 2 keyframes and you reverse them just like this. And now it's going from, you see 120 or 119 all the way to 100. So that's just zooming it out. So that's a really cool, simple feature that just adds a completely different element to your video. What you can also do is add a bit of time remapping, digital zoom in, add some sound effects, and I've actually made my own little clip here, you can see, and you'll get something like this. So again, a lot you can do with this, and I'm going to be diving deeper into this in the course that's going to be coming out hopefully in the next month or 2. Now, for a little bonus tip, we can combine some digital zoom-ins and rotations to a product that was shot on a turntable, and you get something like this. Now you get even more movement and excitement, as not only are we zooming into the product, but we are also moving the product itself, creating a more engaging video. Number 2, using your TV as a background. This is pretty self-explanatory, but it is such an underrated way to create a beautiful background. I know it can be a mission to set up, and I'm often trying to find different ways to create a backdrop, as I don't feel like setting up an entire TV, but it is so worth it in the end. And I can definitely recommend just taking the extra time to get your TV and place it behind your product. I'll be going over in more detail how to shoot with a TV as your background in my new course, Product Video Pro. In the meantime, a few tips to keep in mind when shooting with a TV. Number 1, watch how you place your lights, as they can be a reflection in the TV, so try avoid that as best as possible. And number 2, make sure whatever backdrop or video you are using on the TV, that it is the highest quality possible, so you won't have any type of pixelation when you go full screen on your TV. I use motion array graphics for majority of my backgrounds. Lastly, add real elements in front of your TV that relate to your background, which will sell the overall ideas. For example, I shot a coconut water advert and had a beach background on the TV, and then added sand as my foreground with a leaf and some real coconut. So when you look at it, it blended into the background and didn't even look as if I used a TV or green screen. This is definitely an idea I would recommend you guys to try. And the final technique that you've all been waiting for, number 3, lid removal. I've done many videos on my IG like this showing a lid being screwed off its bottle, and everyone loved it and wanted to know how it was done. I did a video with Maybelline mascara, which ended up going super viral, hitting 3.8 million views, with so many comments asking how it was done and many companies inquiring if I could shoot their product. I even had Maybelline New York contact me asking to share the video. So let's dive into it, as it's more simple than you think. First of all, you want to find a product that has some type of screw or pop-off lid. For my case, I'm actually using the Maybelline one that I shot previously. Now, get some type of stick that is smaller than the lid itself. This is very important as it's going to make it much easier to edit out in post. Honestly, anything will work as long as it's smaller than your product. Use whatever you have around you. Get some double-sided tape, preferably the clear one, and stick this to your lid. Now, all you do is make sure your product is also taped down so it won't create any unnecessary movement. Then loosen the lid slightly and spin away, making as clean of a spin as possible so it looks as real as possible. Okay, so once we've imported our clip into Adobe Premiere Pro, you can see I have my clip here. Now, what we obviously need to do is we need to remove the stick and the double-sided tape. Now, the double-sided tape, I was supposed to use the clear one, but it wasn't sticking as nicely. So as you can see here, I've used the normal one, but we can see it, so we're gonna have to mask that out. Let's do the stick first. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click and we're gonna go to replace with After Effects composition. Okay, once we're in After Effects, I know it's quite a scary program, but we're gonna keep it really, really simple. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go up to Effects and Presets. We're gonna type in Wire, and you'll see there CC Simple Wire Removal, not Wireframe, CC Simple Wire Removal. I'm going to drag and drop that onto our clip. Now, if we come to the top here, you'll see we've got our CC Simple Wire Removal. Now, we're going to take our point A, we're going to click this little thing over here. We're going to click the top, above, out of frame, and we're going to click the below right there. Then what this is going to do is it's basically going to draw a line here. And what is going to happen is if we go to thickness and increase our thickness, okay, we're gonna have to increase our thickness all the way to 100%, and the reason is because it's very thick. So that's why I say the thinner the better. We just needed something a bit thicker because then it would actually stick onto the lid, so then we can unscrew it. But if we had something a bit thinner, it wasn't really working because it wasn't sticking and it was breaking and all of that. So go as thin as you can. Okay, then you're just going to play around with these 3 settings. As you can see, there's still a little bit left over, so I'm going to play around with my slope, and pretty much there, it's gone. You can play around with your blend mirror as well. That's just going to blend it into the background a bit better. So if you have a background that's not plain, it is a lot trickier, but you'll just have to play with the mirror blend and the slope to get it looking as natural as possible. So that's why I say, try when you're starting out, do it on a plain background. That is going to be your simplest and easiest way when starting out. Okay, now what we need to do is, obviously we've only got it set to here. So if I scroll across, as you see, the lid is going to spin and then it's going to start showing, and that's when it's going to start glitching out. So what we need to do is we need to come here to the very beginning, and this is the same as setting keyframes in Premiere Pro. So we're going to set our point A and B keyframes, which point A is this top one and point B is this bottom one. Then what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in a little bit more, and we're going to scroll all the way to the end, which would be the end of where the stick goes out of frame. I'm going to move these things out of frame. As you see, it's already following it a little bit. That's why we always start with the beginning and the end. Then we don't have to do as many keyframes. So always start from the beginning and do the last one. Then I like to do the middle one. We want to do as little as possible so it looks as natural as possible. Okay, make sure they're in line. And now I'm just going to keep going through. Okay, once that's all done, I've just gone through. As you can see at the bottom here, those are all my keyframes, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like at the moment. The only thing that's glitching at the moment is the top bit, which is the double-sided tape. So we are going to take that out as well. All we're going to do is, because it's more simple, you can do it in After Effects, but I know most people will be in Premiere Pro. So because it's a dynamic link, I'm literally just going to go Control S, save it here. I'm going to go back to my Premiere Pro and it is going to be saved. Okay, now all we need to do is run through with a mask. Because it's black, it's a lot easier. So what we can do is we're going to mask this object. So we're going to go zoom in right here as much as possible. We're going to take our mask. We are literally just going to mask this out just like that. Go invert, so it just takes that. And we don't want any feather. Okay, most of the time you do feather. For these occasions, you don't want a feather. Now, what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to start from the beginning, make sure that's nice and tight, and I'm going to go mask path. Now, this mask path, again, is same thing. It adds a keyframe, so it will move with the object. So as you see, we're going to go to the very end. We are going to zoom out, and we're going to take our mask, and obviously the end would be as that comes up there. We're going to grab our mask and go all the way up. Now, as you can see, the mask moves with the lid. Now we just obviously need to adjust that a bit. Here's your keyframes here. So I'm going to go to the middle of my keyframe. I'm going to zoom in again. Bring that mask down first. Because this lid is also curved, we hit Alt on our keyboard and it'll bring us a little bit of a curvature there. So we can create a bit of a curve so it looks a little bit more natural. Now we're just going to follow that lid and repeat the same process that we did with the stick, just with the mask. Okay, so once you've done your mask, now you'll see it looks like this. The only problem is we have a pure black, because the mask will just show pure black. So that is obviously not the same color as our background, because our background is not pure black. So there's two things you can do. If you had a very different texture background or something where you can't just take a Lumetri color like so and drag the blacks down, that would immediately remove it. Perfect, done. If you cannot do that because you're not on a solid background or there's texture behind the background, what you can do is you're going to duplicate this layer, but below. You're going to duplicate it below, remove the mask, and just move the layer across. And then it's basically going to be taking this background over here and just moving it over there, and you've got your shot. But what I usually do if I am shooting on black is I will just do the first example and just drag this black, and boom, we've got ourselves a nice looking image with a perfectly spinning cap. Super quick, guys. This is actually such an easy tutorial. It can be a bit tricky to get the masks right, can be tricky to get the stick removed, but honestly, once you practice it, it is super easy. Again, stick to something simple. Do a simple black background or a simple pink or blue or any solid color. This is really going to help you and make the editing process easier. Then once you've got it nailed, you can go on to more complicated backgrounds, and that will take a bit more time, a little bit more problem solving. But again, that is something we dive deeper into in the course. So those are my 3 techniques that will level up your product videos instantly. Go out and practice these techniques and start adding them to your very own product videos. This is just a very brief explanation of how I do these techniques. I'm excited to let you know that I'll be launching a product videography course in the coming weeks. This course is going to be beyond the basics and provide you with in-depth explanation and techniques, taking you from a beginner with no prior experience to a pro product videographer. So stay tuned for more updates.